Hello, podcast fans. Adam Carolla here. I'm leading the fight against patent trolls who are threatening this medium. It's not about me. It's about the podcast you're listening to right now. If I go down, this show could be next. So visit fundanything.com/patent troll for more information on how you can keep podcasting alive. Thank you and mahalo.
His skin is white just like a ghost, thick Irish roots and his blonde hair. And he sounds like a Chicago superfan. A music nerd with a collection of CDs from here to there. Yes, Andy Dare is in Chicago, interviewing and barbecuing. It's the Andy Dare Show. It's the Andy Dare Show.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. This is episode 111. I am joined by an awesome singer-songwriter, Sierra Swan. She has been in the game for years and has recorded with the likes of Courtney Love, even an early incarnation of the Black Eyed Peas, Linda Perry, all sorts of cool people that she's worked with, and her new album is incredible. It's called Good Soldier. It can be found at singer-songwriter.com. And Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins actually produced the whole album. And we talk all about it. Billy is a real cool figure in my life. I've been a Smashing Pumpkins fan for over 20 years now. And yes, all of his work means a lot to me in his different business ventures too, like the Madame Zuzu's Tea House, and also Resistance Pro Wrestling, which I've had the opportunity of seeing 3 times now, and I've also interviewed Miss Prigg and Jesse Corgan from Resistance Pro, and everybody's been super nice. This is just a really cool, other creative outlet for Billy. And with Sierra Swan, he's back to making music. He's back to manning the boards, which he doesn't really do that often. He does not usually produce other people's work. So when I heard that he had done Sierra's new album, I definitely went and checked it out, and I couldn't be more pleased with what I heard. So check it out. It's called Good Soldier, out now at singer-songwriter.com, and highly recommended by the Andy Dare Show. Yeah, in other news, I actually just started writing for EmptyLighthouse.com. It's kind of similar to Pitchfork. They give all sorts of reviews for music, for television, for movies. They'll review every episode of Walking Dead and stuff like that. And I am going to be doing a lot of music reviews, a lot of album reviews, concerts, shows. I'm going to try to tie it in with this show a little bit, and I thought that would be interesting. Maybe do a post about Sierra Swan since she's on my show this weekend. So hopefully just spread the word. It's an awesome thing. EmptyLighthouse.com. Follow them at Twitter at EMPLighthouse. And yeah, they got a staff of writers. I'm one of dozen, and my friend Tyler Kill from the Dare Network is now writing for them as well. So yeah, I would highly recommend checking out Empty Lighthouse at EmptyLighthouse.com. And yes, I've had all sorts of features so far. I've talked about the Pixies' new album. I've talked about the return of the Afghan Wigs. Talked about Scott Ashton of the Stooges, rest in peace, and a couple other pieces too. So do check it out, EmptyLighthouse.com. And also this week, Dare Network, my little podcast network that we started last year. I've got a cool new episode with Jay Porks. He posts every Monday, and this is a cool one, Rocky Mountain Way. He talks about he's going to Colorado this whole week. He got to see the Meat Puppets and the Moist Boys, so I'm sure that we're going to hear it all this upcoming Monday. So check back to theandydareshow.com every Monday to check out the newest Jay Porks Experience episode. Also, we have a new page up called, it's a Patreon page where you simply put down that you want to become a patron of the Andy Dare Show or a member, and for as little as $1 a month. They'll take out $1 a month, and I'll keep doing the show, and you'll become a member of the Andy Dare Show. And for $5, you get shout-outs on the show. And I want to thank Katie Gibson for being their first patron. She did $5 a month. And Katie Gibson or it's KT Gibbles at Twitter. She works with WGN. She works with James Van Osdel, a cool dude and such an inspiration to my whole broadcasting career. So just want to thank Katie for becoming our first patron. If you'd like to become a member, it's at patreon.com/Andy Darer. Wonder how I got that name. All right, enough of the stupid jokes. Enough of the spiel. I want to thank you for checking out the Andy Dare Show and being supportive of our little creative endeavor for the last almost 3.5 years. You can go to theandydareshow.com, click the Amazon banner to keep the lights on here at the Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont. Thank you so much. Without further ado, my episode 111 with Sierra Swan. Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. This is episode 111, and I'm joined via phone by the awesome, talented, and beautiful Sierra Swan. How you doing?
That sounds nice. Thank you.
I am loving the new album. I think it's one of the strongest releases of the new year so far. That and Sunkill Moon's new album are been played quite a bit here at the Dare household.
Cool.
It's called Good Soldier, and you can find it at singer-songwriter.com, and produced by Billy Corgan, a hometown hero of mine. How did you end up getting in touch with Billy?
We've known each other for a while. I met him when I was around, I think, 26 or 27. So about 10 years. I've known him 10 years, yeah. And we've been friends very consistently throughout that time. And he always kind of hinted or talked about it, but, I just never really thought it would come to fruition, really. Just it's one of those things that you're like, maybe we'll have you. And then he was in town, and he came over to visit me, and my son were home, and I played him, or I'd emailed him a couple weeks before he came over a song I was working on to get his input, and he wrote back very, positive thoughts, like, wow, if this is the direction you're going into, I'd love to be involved, And when he said that, I was like, well, that's great. But, once again, it's like, we'll see if that happens. And then when he came over, I played him another song I was working on, or I just kind of finished. And when the song was over, he just kind of matter-of-factly said, I'd love to produce this.
Whoa,
and
nice.
So, yeah. So I was just like, well, if you're serious, let's make it happen,
Yeah, I'm sure. Like in LA, you get a lot of. I would love to produce that thing. Have your guy call my guy, and then 6 months pass, and you don't hear anything, right?
Yeah, and it's just like anything else. It's just I've been doing this long enough to not believe something until I'm actually doing it.
Sure.
So it was one of those things, and then progressively, obviously, I had to raise the money to get it together. He's amazing in the sense that he didn't ask for any money. I needed to raise money for the mixing and the mastering and the flying to Chicago and just all the stuff that goes with the artwork. I mean, it just never ends really. The cost of making a record, and it was coming out of my pocket, so I did it through Pledge Music, and that was successful and great. And so once that I raised the money that I needed, I headed to Chicago to do the record.
Awesome. Yeah, we're living in such a different world, 2014, compared to like you got your start in the mid 90s or the late 90s, right? And having to deal with the major labels and the joy of getting signed and the joy of being the toast of the town and whatnot, and then you have the labels start intervening. They're having trouble themselves.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare back then, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been signed 3 times. 3 times, and maybe 4. I just have lost count. and in my 20s, you know, and it was right before social media kind of hit huge, like before Twitter, before MySpace, you know. That's the time I was being signed by these labels, and so it was kind of, you were under their mercy if you were signed back then, because without their support, you had no way of reaching anybody.
Sure.
So if they didn't know what to do with you, it's like anything else. You know, you slowly kind of filtered out through the system, and mainly the reason they usually didn't know what to do with an artist is because it was a real artist, and they were trying to do something different and not trying to fit into some kind of, you know,
sure,
mold. And you know, the bottom line is major labels, therefore, you know, it's like almost the 50s again. They're for those pop acts, you know, they're for the a little bit more of a machine-controlled,
sure,
you know, thing. And I'm not saying that a lot of these very popular acts are controlled. I'm sure they have somewhat of a say, but they really kind of can't step out of certain boundaries, you know.
Oh, of course.
And it's and as much as you want to think that certain artists are like, you know, completely and totally in charge, you'd be surprised.
You'd be
you know,
very
how many
surprised.
people are, you'd be very surprised how many people are truly helping them actually, you know, help you think that. So the bottom line is nowadays, in order to really be an artist, you have to do it on your own, and it's a lot of work, and you can't be a drug addict, and you have to really want it, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not the 90s. It's just not the 90s anymore, and you have to really want to do this, or else it's not worth it. It's just, unless it's worth it, you know, if you want to just share it with your friends, but if you want to try and really do this,
it's all on you, right? Yeah.
It's all on you, and just don't think any different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I did my research, and you are from a musical family. Billy Swan is your father, another Billy.
Yeah.
And so, like, was that a helping or a hindrance growing up in a musical environment like that?
Absolutely helped, because I was lucky enough to have, you know, that support and that kind of father doesn't really flinch when you tell them that you want to be a musician. They think it's a great idea.
Nice.
Whereas most parents would be like, that's great, but what do you really want to do?
Yeah.
So in that respect, it was really awesome, you know, because I have a lot of creative friends that don't come from families like that, and they have a lot of difficulty really taking themselves seriously because they always had that voice in their head.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so and that's really painful for an artist to have any kind of doubt from people that love you, and especially your parents. So if any parents are listening, you know, and you've got a creative child, it's so important to let them be who they are. You know.
Yeah, let them do it themselves. That's true.
Yeah, let them be. Let them do what they're supposed to be doing. You're going to be hindering them, you know, causing more problems than really helping at the end of the day.
Sure. So, like, when you first like pick up a guitar or started like writing your own songs, how old were you, and how long before you were, you know, working with Doll's Head and like that sort of stuff?
I think I was around, like, you know, I always sang, but then you know, having a father that's a songwriter, it was always very apparent to me, you got to write your own songs, you know. And I was never interested. I was never interested in, like, being just a singer. I just never thought, you know, this is my personal thought. That wasn't interesting to me. I didn't find that to be that interesting to me. And so I was really pulled in the direction of learning in my instrument and learning how to write a song. And so it was probably, you know, 14, 15 when I started playing guitar, and I had always kind of played piano. And then I just, you know, I was lucky enough to be in that generation where it was like, you know, Jane's Addiction and, you know,
Nice.
Nirvana had come out and that whole thing, and having a sister that had really good taste in music too. You know, I was totally into the idea of playing, you know, guitar.
Awesome.
So I locked myself in my room and played, and practiced, and bled, and didn't care, and just like, got to get through the pain to
gotta let it out.
Know how to, yeah. So, then I started really writing songs like a lot when I was like 15.
Did your dad ever go, hey, Sierra, come downstairs and show my friends your songs? Or,
yeah. He would do that once in a blue moon, but I really hated it when he did.
Yeah. Nice. So Doll's Head, you were it was a duo with a guy that became part of the Matrix songwriting team, right?
Yeah, it was way before the Matrix. It was Graham Edwards was his name. He called me because I guess him and two other guys were kind of forming these tracks, but they didn't have a singer. They were, and I was around 18, I think, and he called, seeing if I'd just come in and sing on some of them,
Nice.
And so I said, okay, sure. And they ended up liking it and wanted to, form a band. And bands are just really hard, and I was young, and I really wanted to kind of do my own thing. So it was a great experience. I learned a lot about the industry, but at the end of the day, I don't think it worked out just because my feelings were not in a band type of situation.
Yeah, it seems like with a band, you have so much stuff that you have to deal with, and being a solo artist is nice and freeing, kind of, right?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to be in a band. You have to be open to other people's feelings and thoughts and artistic, ideas, and I think I could deal with it now that I'm older. But at the time, I had a real sense. I had a real need to express my individual thought.
Sure.
So.
And like, how did this lead to? This was pretty surprising for me that you were at like one time a member of Black Eyed Peas for a short while, right?
That was I don't know what I don't know who came up with that, but this is what. No, I was never a member, but I went to Loyola Marymount for a year, and Will and Apple and Taboo were working with a friend of mine who was a keyboard player in Black Eyed Peas, who also was kind of running the studio at Loyola Marymount. So he had the key to the studio basically, and the guys, they wanted to record a demo. This is before they were on Interscope, and so late at night, we would all go in there and work on music, and
nice.
They started, writing the music for the album that they got signed for to Interscope for. Is it called Behind the Front? I'm like,
it's one of those, yeah. And like, it's
right.
weird. They're such huge pop megastars nowadays, but like nobody knows that they got signed. They got found out by Eazy-E right before Eazy-E died, and like they were actually they had a lot of actual street cred and like actual like good music. Yeah.
I mean, when they first started out, we were all kids and we were all just wanting to record music, and so it was a situation where we were all really good friends. We were all trying to bring the music. And so if they needed a background singer, they'd be like, Sierra, will you come down? I'd come out of my dorm and I'd, go and sing, and we had a great time, just had.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we were just kids, and they basically wrote and recorded a lot what was on that record that Interscope released, and I sang on Fallen Up.
Oh,
and,
cool.
And, they were, at the time, they were huge. In the city, they were a huge band, like in the small. Like they weren't signed, but whenever they had a show, like it would be packed, because they were amazing live performers,
Yeah.
And
kind of like the Roots, right?
Yeah. Totally, and it was a totally different scene than what they're doing now. It was like completely different. But Will has always been such a humble, cool guy, and he hasn't changed. But their music was definitely different.
So you guys still stay in touch? Here and there? Or?
Not really. I if I run into him, we say hello and are always like laughing because we know each other from the time when just we were babies, So it's always nice to see him, and when he does, he's always very sweet and happy to see me. But he lives on Jupiter right now, so it's like totally different.
It's a different world for him, different world for you, and
This episode of The Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue in Westmont, Illinois. Family owned and operated since 1997, Uncle Bub's is the real deal barbecue. A family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Also, it's a full-service catering company doing weddings, pig roasts, luau's, grill packages, you name it. They have a friendly, helpful staff that will make sure that your party goes off without a hitch. Call them at 630-493-9000. Visit them at 132 South Cass Avenue in Westmont, Illinois, and UncleBubs.com. Hey man, I know you like grilling. I know you like getting those dark grill marks on your burgers, fish, chicken. And I know you don't want to just dry your meat out like you're cooking with a hairdryer. Why not get the Man Grate and click through the AndyDareShow.com's banner so we can keep the lights on here at Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. The Man Grate. This episode of The Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Record Utopia, a music lover's dream with thousands of vinyl records, musical instruments, and sound gear. They buy, sell, and trade. Give them a call at 630-963-1957. Visit them in Westmont, Illinois at 309 West Ogden Avenue, on the web at recordutopia.com. It's always a good, relaxed atmosphere. Check them out, Record Utopia.
Linda Perry, another huge talent that has worked on so many albums that people don't even know about, but they know all the songs and everything from Pink to Four Non-Blondes to all this stuff. How did you end up meeting up with her? And was this the thing with was this with Courtney Love? And is that how you met Billy? Is this all coming together?
Yeah, I pretty much. Well, I met Linda a while ago too. Met her maybe over 10 years ago. And she just heard a demo of mine and wanted to work with me. And at the time, I was signed on to Atlantic. So, you know, they wanted me to write with some other producers. And at that time, it was like the big producers were like, you know, the Neptunes, Linda Perry, and, you know, it was like a certain crop of producers that everybody had to work with. And Linda Perry was obviously one of them.
Sure, Timbaland, too, and all that. Yeah.
Right. And then so she heard a demo and she was like, I would love to work with her. And we became fast friends. It was pretty instant, you know, just a very strong connection, and we had it was a great experience. And then I got dropped from Atlantic, and she called me and was like, I'm going to get you a deal with Interscope. And I was like, you go and do that. and so she picked me up and we went to go meet Sierra.
Wait, say that again. You were breaking up. Sorry.
She picked me up and we went to go meet with Ivy from Interscope. And basically, you know, when you come with Linda Perry, they're like, okay, great, we'll get you a deal. And then I did with her. I did Ladyland, and Bill Bottrell did half the record. He produced half the record, and she produced the other half. And then through her, Courtney was wanting to do another record, and she did it with Linda, or she was working with Linda for a period of time, and I came in to visit them, just to visit, and Courtney was like, Billy wants to come over. Billy, come over. It was like asking, sounded like she's asking, her mom if her friend could come over to play. Nice. I swear to God, it sounded like that, and he came over, and it was, we just talked, and I think I gave him my record, and then he called me. He was like, I really like your record. And I was like, okay, cool. Nice. And then we became really good friends.
That's awesome. So that was her solo album, or?
Yeah, no, I think it was. I think it was trying to get another whole record kind of together.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think, or maybe she was trying to. It was really kind of a confusing time, I think.
She's had a lot of confusing times in her life. Yeah, I wouldn't trade places.
But God bless her. She's who she is. I mean, the woman is honest.
Yeah.
Sure. But so yeah, that's my kind of. And Linda and I are still great friends. And
so what did Interscope do with you? Did they?
They dropped me.
Yeah, it happens. Yep.
Yeah, it was just it was. Like I said, right before the huge online community really came about, and they just didn't know what to do with me. They didn't understand, I was kind of I wasn't a pop chick, and I wasn't like a metal chick, but I was writing my own songs, and it was edgy, but it was sentimental, and they're like, what is this? We don't know what to do with this person. You know, I don't think that they understood what I was doing, and that's fine.
Yeah, I would definitely not blame it on the music. I would blame it on that perfect storm of the whole social media thing coming out and everybody trading music and the music industry, you know, hitting the shitter at the same time, it seems like.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't work out.
Nice, but now we're in better times. Good Soldier out now on you can find it at singer-songwriter.com. And I just got a couple songs off the record I'd like to ask you about. Take Me Out to the Ballgame. That's one of my favorites. And
it's one of mine too.
Explain how that one came together. It's not the song that they sing at the 7th inning stretch at baseball games, to which I was.
Yeah, well, the title came to me before, like the lyrical idea and melody and all that stuff. I just kind of one day was like, I want to feel. Like, one, I want to write a song called Take Me Out to the Ballgame, and two, I think that's how, like, the perfect day should look, and that's how, like, when you fall in love, it's like a day out at the ballgame. And I'm not even a fan of sports, so don't ask me where this came from, but I was like, in my thoughts, it was like a love song, like, Take Me Out to the Ballgame. Because it had all these other meanings within it.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And I just thought, wow, if I could make a kind of a love song out of a title called Take Me Out to the Ballgame, I'm going to be really happy with myself.
Nice. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah. And so I kind of just wrote the song that day, and I loved it and sent it to Billy, and he liked it. First he was like, Take Me Out to the Ballgame. And he was like, and then I went to Chicago to record, because I had originally recorded it a little bit more aggressive, and he heard that recorded like the night before. He would come in and listen to what I did and then make, you know, his notes. And he was like, this is a country song. Like, you need to slow this down.
Sure. It's
way too fast. And I was like, really? Are you sure? And he was totally right.
I wouldn't lead you wrong, right?
Yeah, no. So he was totally right. And it turned out great, and I love it.
Nice.
And we both, what I also love about it is because I played acoustic on it, and this a little lead load in the chorus, but we did all those like harder guitar parts, like the guitar parts that sound a little heavier.
They're crunchy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Billy, and it just kind of like also represents both of our styles really too, I think. So it's kind of fun to listen to.
Yeah, perfect amalgamation of both the styles, and then kind of the flip side, a New Order-ish sounding, almost dance track, Sad Affair.
Yeah, that was like a slow bluesy piano song, believe it or not. Yeah, at one time. And then Billy was totally like, no, this over here, you know? And I was like, fine, let's do that. That sounds fun. And he and he programmed it, and then I kind of put all my shit on top of it.
Cool.
But yeah, that was really his idea, to take it to that world, which I love. Anyway, so.
Yeah, it was definitely a different flavor, and the album's full of different textures, different sounds, different genres, all mashed together with your gorgeous voice on top of it.
Oh, thank you.
I couldn't recommend it highly enough. So singer-songwriter.com. Are you going to be touring off this, or what's next? What's for summer here?
I'm playing a show next week at Hotel Cafe, but that's as far as I can kind of take it, because the fact that I'm paying for everything on my own.
Sure. And
touring is super expensive. It really is. And unless there's people actually at your show, there's no reason to do it. So sure. If people want to see me do this tour, if they want to see me tour, they have to buy the record.
Yeah, buy the record, support artists.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's like people don't even download anymore, because if they can stream it, or if they can listen to it for free, they're gonna, like, on Spotify. I was actually not sure if I wanted to even put it on Spotify, because I'm like, when people want to buy it, but
yeah.
You know, it's just. But I did eventually, and it's it's really hard. It's really hard. People won't buy it. They just won't buy music. Really
I think
hard.
the best way would be like Billy's found a way to making a niche for himself where he doesn't have to rely on MTV at all nowadays, which was a big help, 20 years ago. But now you don't have MTV, you don't really have radio, you don't have all these things, but he's still finding avenues and markets he can tap into, and I'm sure you could find some market and avenue to that Good Soldier could definitely tap into. So
I'm open to ideas. If anyone wants to email me and give me their thoughts, I'm totally open.
Awesome, sounds good. And you're on Twitter at Sierra Swan, right?
Yep, Sierra Swan, and pretty much you can find out anything you need to know on my website.
Awesome. So. SierraSwan.com, Good Soldier out now. Any last words, Sierra?
Finishing up a video for the song Emotional with Jen Lynch.
Nice.
Who's an amazing, she's an amazing director. She did Boxing Helena a long time ago, Surveillance, and Unchained, I believe. And she's just getting into music videos. She did my last one, and I just loved what she did so much that she's doing this one, and it's almost finished, and it's pretty awesome.
Awesome. Can't wait to check it out. On behalf of Sierra Swan, this is Andy Dare signing off for The Andy Dare Show.
Be sure to follow Andy on Twitter. That's at Andy Dare. And like our show on Facebook. That's facebook.com/The Andy Dare Show. Videos at youtube.com/Andrew Martin Dare. And we're on iTunes. Just search The Andy Dare Show. Please leave a review. Thanks so much to our wonderful sponsors, Uncle Love's award-winning barbecue, Record Utopia, The Band Great, and Amazon.com. Theme song courtesy of Rich Banks Music. Thank you so much for checking out The Andy Dare Show. TheAndyDareShow.com.